krossa sionismen.
Leve Palestina och krossa sionismen. Leve, leve, leve Palestina. Leve, leve, leve Palestina. Leve Palestina och krossa sionismen. Leve Palestina och krossa sionismen.
Och vi har odlat jorden.
Och vi har odlat jorden.
Och vi har skördat vetet.
Och vi har skördat vetet.
Vi har plockat citronerna.
Och vi har plockat citronerna.
Och pressat oliverna.
Och pressat oliverna.
Och hela världen känner till vår jord.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. وبعد. السادة الحضور الكرام، السيد عميد كلية الآداب المحترم، السادة الحضور الكرام كل من حسب اسمه ولقبه، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. حللتم أهلا وسهلا سهلا في رحاب كلية الآداب في جامعة الموصل. برعاية السيد رئيس جامعة الموصل الأستاذ الدكتور قصي كمال الدين الأحمدي المحترم، وبإشراف السيد عميد كلية الآداب الدكتور علي محمد عثير المحترم، تقيم كلية الآداب ممثلة بقسمي اللغة الإنجليزية والإعلام نشاطا طلابيا تضامنيا مع أهلنا في غزة. ويأتي هذا النشاط ضمن فعاليات قسم اللغة الإنجليزية المرحلة الثالثة لمساندة ومعاضدة أهلنا المحاصرين والذين يتعرضون للقتل والتهجير في فلسطين وفي غزة تحديدا. ومن هذا المنبر، منبر كلية الآداب، يعلن طلبة كلية الآداب تضامنهم ووقوفهم ومساندتهم الشعب العربي الفلسطيني. وطبعا بما أنه النشاط لقسم اللغة الإنجليزية سيكون الكلمات والنشاطات باللغتين، اللغة العربية واللغة الإنجليزية، فأقدم المايك لزميلتي الست هدى لتكمل الترجمة الإنجليزية.
شكرا دكتور عبد الله على تقديمي. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks, Dr. Abdallah, for presenting me. Welcome to you, our guests, in this scientific gathering. In Abogian demonstrations of solidarity and compassion, under the patronage of Prof. Dr. Qusay Kamaluddin Al-Ahmadi, the Chancellor of the University of Mosul, and the supervision of Assistant Prof. Dr. Muhammad Ali Muhammad Khan, the Dean of the College of Art, the English and Media departments unite for an impactful student event entitled Gaza in My Narratives. In a heartfelt scene of solidarity with our brothers and sisters in Gaza, the junior students of the Department of English have orchestrated an interactive solidarity event. This event will feature a compelling array of written and reading articles, as well as a poignant exhibition of posters inspired by the narratives of resilience and courage from the people of Gaza. Stories we often encounter on social media. And now I will leave the mic for Dr. Abdallah.
شكرا جزيلا ست هدى على هذه الكلمة. ونيابة عن السيد عميد كلية الآداب يقدم الأستاذ الدكتور حازم أيوب كلمة باسم كلية الآداب، فليتفضل مشكورا.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. السلام عليكم جميعا. أشكر قسم اللغة الإنجليزية ممثلة بالدكتور الهدايتين اللتان شجعتا وبمعاونة الطلبة، وهذا يدل على شيء، دل على حجم التفاعل الموجود بين التدريسيين في القسم وطلبة القسم على الوقوف هذه الوقفة التضامنية مع شعبنا الفلسطيني الجريح. وكلنا رأى حجم المعاناة والمؤاساة التي مر بها هذا الشعب الجريح منذ فترة ليست بقليلة. من واجبنا كإنسانيين فضلا عن واجبنا الأخوي أن نقف مع هذا الشعب، وهذه النشاطات هي أحد أوجه الدعم البسيطة التي يجب أن تقدم لهم. وفقكم الله ورفع الظلم عن هذا الشعب المسكين، وشكرا جزيلا.
Thank you very much, Doctor, for your wording. He thanks, the organizers of this event about their efforts and cooperation with our students in order to be in solidarity with our people in Gaza. And this is not new for our college and our country for doing these activities and these things, because the College of Arts, like other scientific and educational institutions, declares its rejection of the aggression and calls on the international community to bear the moral burdens of what is happening in Gaza, and calls for an immediate cessation for the fighting. And now the word for Dr.
شكرا جزيلا. كلية الآداب كغيرها من الكليات والمؤسسات التربوية والعلمية تعلن رفضها بالكامل لهذا العدوان الذي يطال أهلنا في غزة، وطلبت كلية الآداب وجامعة الموصل عموما يعلنون تضامنهم ووقوفهم إلى جانب أهلنا في فلسطين لمؤازرتهم فيما يمرون فيه من عدوان غاشم. تلك الآلة الحربية التي لم تفرق بين الطفل الصغير والكبير ولم تفرق بين الشيخ والامرأة، نعلن تضامننا، وكذلك باقي مؤسسات المجتمع أيضا في ذلك تعلن تضامنها وتآزرها مع أهلنا وشعبنا في فلسطين. والآن ننقل المايك إلى زميلتنا الدكتورة هدى، راعية والعقل المدبر والمنظم لهذا النشاط. تفضل مشكورة.
The support did not stop only with the students, but all segments of society stand to reject this brutal aggression. And now I'd like to hand the mic to the mastermind and supervisor organizing the event, Dr. Huda Al-Halawi.
Well, good morning, everyone. I would like to thank first the Assistant Dean for Academic Affairs, Prof. Dr. Harith Ayoub, for joining us in this tragic event, actually. I would like to thank Dr. Abdullah and Ms. Huda for their nice wording. I would like also to actually appreciate the dear staff members and students for joining us in this event. Before we start to today's program, I would like to tell you the story actually of our event titled Gaza 7th October 2003 in my narratives. I've been teaching writing skill since years, and I always like to match between theory and practice. This year I'm teaching essay writing for third year students. Once I finished explaining type 1 essay narrative, type 1 essay narrative essay, an idea sprang to mind, which is, why don't I bridge between the recent bloody events in Gaza and my students' skills in writing? Later, I talked to my class about my plan to support Gaza in our narratives. They were all keen to participate. Watching YouTubes of Gazan people was the first step. 6 students were volunteers to write their stories on any inspiring video, though all are deadly inspiring. Some other students worked on posters. I found some students who are passionate actually of drawing. They painted some paintings. One student, Muhammad, who's sitting there, was responsible for the techniques and organizing the program on the laptop. I'm also honored to have 2 students broadcasting Gazan news in their way. Me and Ms. Huda were guiding all the team as we worked together via a group on Messenger. We wish that our event speaks to Gaza across the miles. And I rest my speech here. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're welcoming you from the studio of the Media Department, College of Arts, University of Boston. Keep you in touch with Gaza's news.
مرحبا بكم سيداتي وسادتي المشاهدين من استوديو قسم الاعلام في كليه الاداب جامعه الموصل. نعطيكم ابرز عناوين النشره الاخباريه عن احداث غزه.
A breakdown of how Hamas attack unfolded. Palestinian group Hamas launched operation called Al-Aqsa Flood inside Israel, killing dozens and taking hostages in Bishop Gaza.
طوفان الاقصى اكبر هجوم من المقاومه الفلسطينيه على اسرائيل. شنت المقاومه الفلسطينيه حماس عمليه طوفان الاقصى على اسرائيل فجر يوم السبت 7 اكتوبر، وشملت هجوما بريا وجويا وبحريا تسلل من المقاومين الى عده مستوطنات في غلاف غزه.
Israel army launched air attacks on Gaza at the same day. Hundreds of residents in the Gaza Strip have fled their homes to move away from the border with Israel.
الهجوم الإسرائيلي الجوي على قطاع غزة اليوم ذلك معنى خلفية عملية طوفان الأقصى للمقاومة الفلسطينية حماس. شنت إسرائيل غارات جوية على مناطق مختلفة في قطاع غزة مما أسفر عن سقوط مدنيين وتدمير المنازل.
Gaza faces a humanitarian catastrophe as a power plant running out of fuel. Gaza's authorities said all basic life services are at risk after Israel's total siege of the Hamas-run area.
انقطاع الكهرباء بالكامل عن غزة بعد إنفاذ الوقود جراء الحصار الإسرائيلي. وقطع التيار الكهربائي يوم الأربعاء الموافق 11 تشرين الأول 2023 عن عموم قطاع غزة بعد توقف محطة توليد الكهرباء عن العمل جراء الحصار الإسرائيلي مما أدى إلى الانهيار الكامل في كافة المنطقات الحيوية في القطاع.
Gaza's schools under ongoing heavy Israeli bombing. Israel's air bombardment of Gaza intensifies, targeting not only schools but also shelters, hospital areas and influences too.
مدارس غزة تحت القصف الإسرائيلي العنيف المستمر. تشتد حدة القصف الإسرائيلي على غزة مستهدفا المدارس بالإضافة إلى الملاجئ والمستشفيات وسيارات الإسعاف أيضا.
The Israeli raid on Gaza's Al-Shifa hospital. Israeli forces have raided Al-Shifa hospital, where thousands of Palestinians are sheltering, following days of heavy attacks in the area surrounding the complex in Gaza City, causing a catastrophic humanitarian flood.
اشتباكات حول مجمع الشفاء وقوات الاحتلال تحاصره من جميع الجهات. شهد مجمع الشفاء الطبي في غزة اشتباكات حوله بينما طلبت قوات الاحتلال الإسرائيلي حصارا شاملا على جميع جهاته بعد أن أعادت اقتحام المشفى إلى المدخل الجنوبي واستخدام الجرافات.
People across the world protest against Israel's war on Gaza. Demonstrators the world over worldwide insult three with Palestinians in Gaza, condemning the high rate of civilian casualties in Israeli attacks and calling for an immediate ceasefire.
مظاهرات حول العالم تنديدا بالعدوان على غزة. خرجت مظاهرات حاشدة في مدن عدة حول العالم للأسبوع السادس على التوالي للمطالبة بوقف إطلاق النار في قطاع غزة.
Here we come to the end of our newsletter. Greetings to you from the students of the Department of English Language, College of Arts, University of Boston.
وإلى هنا نصل إلى ختام نشرتنا الإخبارية. تحية لكم منا طلبة قسم اللغة الإنجليزية كلية الآداب جامعة الموصل.
Well, thank you very much, my lovely, amazing two students, Amina and Ayman, for broadcasting the news, though terrible and bloody, but they presented actually and they broadcasted in a very nice way. You know, doctor, يعني طبعا هذه المحاولة الأولى للطلبة إنه يجلسون أمام كاميرا ويتم التصوير بهذه الطريقة. Thank you so much. I think it's time to start the core of our event, which is listening to the students' stories about Gaza. You know that people there, including women, old people, children, suffer or have been suffering a lot since more than 48 or 49 days now. So our job as students at the Department of English, College of Arts, University of Mosul, to speak to Gaza and their people in terms of writing some stories influenced by the YouTubes actually, or the videos we are watching daily. I think it's Baha who's one of our students, third-year students, to present his peers and colleagues to present their videos and stories. The stage is yours, Baha. Thank you very much.
هذا هو حال الأطفال الأستاذ في قرارة الشتاء. حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل. أخذنا 3 وإذا استمر الحال على ما هو عليه سنفقد إليه هؤلاء الأطفال. ظروف غير ملائمة تماما لهؤلاء الأطفال حديثي الولادة ذو الأوزان القليلة جدا. هؤلاء يجب أن يكونوا في الحضانات في ظروف بيئية.
That's it. That's the video. Okay, so I would like to welcome you, all of you, good morning, and I would like to thank you and welcome you to this great, fantastic event about Palestine and Israel. All the Israels in the country, but all of them know. So, okay, so I'm going to present the first one. Okay, so could you imagine a newborn, premature baby out of incubator? I may call the stage to Fetwa and Brand. And the title of the story: No Home, No Incubator. Could you go?
Good morning, everyone. I remember the first time when I heard my mother and father voices. They were talking about my name. They chose me the name Sammy, and I liked it very much. My mother prepared clothes, food, and all my needs before giving birth. I remember my father's excitement about what I would look like when I came to life. I remember their laughter, their discussions at the dinner table, and their love for each other. Our lives were modest and warm, and we only wanted peace. One night, my mother was drinking coffee, and my father was watching TV, and my brothers were playing in their room, and their voices were getting louder. My mother said, "I will raise Sammy in the best ways, and I will strive to provide him with everything. I always surround him with love and affection." My father commented, "The boy will live happily as long as you are his mother, and as long as he has wonderful products." When I heard their words, I was confident of the amount of happiness, love, and affection that I would receive. So I kept inside my mother's belly to express my happiness. My mother was laughing and touched her stomach to feel my movements. Yet, this joy didn't last long. Yes, my father couldn't even reach my brothers to save them. And yes, our house was bombed. I'm Sami, a newborn baby from Gaza. My family died on October 7th due to aerial bombardment. My father and my brothers died at that moment and were hauled out from under the rubble. My mother was saved at the last moment. Her condition was critical, and there were no medical supplies to treat her. The only solution for her was to give birth to me, and in a surgery before my due date, and to die after that. And now my colleague ran the complete story.
Good morning, everyone. Amidst the rubble and chaos of war, a tiny infant lay swaddled in a blanket, his eyes wide open. his eyes wide open, reflecting the pain and uncertainty that surround him. My parents, loving and devoted, were caught in the crossfire of conflict, and their lives ended in an instant. I became an orphan. I remember when they took me away from my mother, I started to cry. It was all so desperate. It was very cold and I had no clothes because of my premature birth. I needed a preterm device, which was not available at the time, and I could not breathe. I was struggling to breathe and live. The doctors put me on a big bed with a group of newborns, all screaming and crying, willing for mothers' hugs and food. The Israeli occupation army did not only bomb homes and all areas of Gaza, but even the hospital I was in. Some doctors, paramedics, and the children were dead. I cried and cried like all the newborn babies with me, but no one could do anything for us. Premature babies in Gaza face significant challenge due to the limitation of the healthcare system caused by the Israeli blockade, shortage of medical supplies and equipment, such as incubators. As a result, premature babies in Gaza might be at a higher risk of complication and may struggle to receive the level of care they need to their fragile health. Do I have a bright future after all these painful events? Thank you.
Just 1 second. I told you I don't want to listen. Okay. So, okay. Now moving, that was the first story. That was the first story. I'm going to move to the next one. Now it's time for Abdus-Salam to tell the story. And the title of the story is like, For the Sake of a Handful of Salt, where he describes a Gazan woman's tragedy in searching for salt just to bake bread for children. So, Abdus-Salam, would you come here? Tell your story. Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum. In the small kitchen of a shattered home in Gaza, a resilient woman woke up at the dawn of another challenging day. As the sun graced the worn-out walls of the remains of what once was a happy home, her determined hands set out on a seemingly impossible quest to find salt and flour to make bread for her hungry children. The local markets, once filled with life, now echo a bleak reality. Death is the only commodity, and essential supplies went extinct in the face of conflict and economic strain. As this Palestinian woman navigates the maze of scarcity, her silent struggle spoke volumes about the harsh facts that became the backdrop of daily life in her homeland. The aroma of freshly baked bread, a staple of comfort in many households, remained an unattainable dream for her family and many others, as the only reward to her pursuits for food under the rain of bombs is a handful of salt. Yet, her determination to provide bread for her children resonated as a testament to the strengths in the Palestinians' hearts that emerge in the face of war. This dark and sad reality Palestine is going through is a message to us. We are fortunate enough to have daily bread on our tables. It calls for a moment of reflection for each one of us. The abundance that surrounds us and the privileges we often take for granted As we savor the simple act of breaking bread, we should remember the countless families like hers and advocate and fight for a world where every mother can bake bread for her children without the burden of scarcity and war. Throughout the decades, hundreds and thousands of men died, and families were broken and children were orphaned for these two flags to keep waving through the sky. This cause is not a trend, and none of us should treat it as one.
Okay, so now moving on to another depressing story. It was just a hope for Nabil Mustafa, like to save the child, and this story is going to tell her like Maryam and Lena for that to tell the story, and the title of the story is like just a hope. So would you come?
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. After graduating from my College of Nursing, Nabil Al-Safar decided to stay and work as paramedic in a hospital in Gaza. On October 7th, he was on his way home after he finished his work in the hospital. In the evening, when it was past 10 o'clock, he arrived home and decided to make a cup of coffee to relax. A turning point of Nabil's night and life of millions of people was the violent bombing. Nabil immediately went to the hospital as he was needed there. Painful hours passed as Nabil with other people tried to rescue the wounded and injured people. He received a call from a family whose child was stuck under the rubble. Immediately, he went to the demolished building with an ambulance to rescue the child, only to face a sorrowful sight. When he arrived there, he saw the family in a miserable state, and people were screaming and crying, saying that he might be alive. There was a glimmer of hope to try to save the child's life. Nabil treated the child in the ambulance and gave him oxygen. After he arrived at the hospital, several doctors gathered in an attempt to save the little boy. But their attempts failed, unfortunately, and the little boy lost his life and became an angel in paradise. The parents lost their two children in an hour. They collapsed over the loss of their children. Nabil, who tried for hours to save the child, but he failed. And when he saw the body without a soul in his arms, he couldn't talk or give any reaction with his painful tragedy. The thing that Nabil and everyone should know is that people's life in Gaza is under God's control. And we are only the soldiers of God so we can't save all people, but do our best to rescue them. It is our duty and a feeling of humanity. We all should know that doctors are angels on earth, whose duty is to save the largest number of affected people in Gaza. And their presence in our lives is a great blessing, and we are grateful for it. Thank you.
Okay, so now moving to another depressing story. Okay, war unquestionably teaches a lesson. For Mazen Riyad, he figures out himself. Just what I said.
Yeah.
He figures out himself among the young who subconsciously unaware of the blessing they have. And compared to the people in Gaza, it may start with disliking the macaroni as mac and cheese. Mazen's story titled Daily Blessings.
وأنت تعد فطورك فكر بذلك لا تنسى
السلام عليكم. So the story was basically about how we all don't appreciate our daily blessing that we has, and we're just looking at these people and we imagine them. We don't have even to imagine ourselves in their place because we were in their place. And going in everyday life and seeing people that were under bombardment and under invasion for years, American invasion, ISIS invasion, and even ideological invasion. But we still didn't learn our lesson of actually knowing who is the villain and who is the opponent in this situation. And we still don't feel for the others, and we are, during these moments, people are dying in Gaza, and here we are writing stories about it and making events about it, which is, for me, is totally wrong. Because this is, I think it's bigger than that. It should be bigger than that. And as people who went through war over and over, I'm pretty embarrassed of everyone my age or older age who should have a little bit of awareness that this is not okay, and that this is like just saying that people of Gaza are just shuhada, and yeah, I mean, that's just war. But if you just see like now, like kids in front of you who just died, and you would tell them, it's okay, you're just a casualty for war. And we've been in your place. I don't know what will they tell you. Because they also had feelings, they had families, they had dreams, they had lives that they wanted to continue. But we don't understand that. Because they are not as humans as us. They're not as real as us. They're just casualties for war. And because they deserve that, because the resistance started the war, not Israel. Because the event started the 7th of October. It's not the 7th of October. It started in 1974, 48, sorry. It didn't start on 7th of October. Okay? And thinking about Gaza as a state that is separated from Palestine is totally wrong. You always have to mention Palestine because this goes deeper than that. And it's not about 7th of October. It's not about 48 days. It's about, and it's not even about Palestine only. It's about all of us. It's about Iraq, it's about Syria, it's about Yemen, it's about Saudi Arabia, who are now with Israel. It's about all of us, and we should take a moment and rethink what we're doing in our lives, because this is not okay, and it shouldn't be our everyday life.
Okay, so thank you very much, Mazen. That was such an amazing and heartwarming story. Okay, so like even pets in Gaza are victims. So now I'm gonna call Warda Jawadi to tell her story, and the title of the story, Tiny Paws and Innocent Eyes. Would you come to the podium here?
Assalamu alaikum. In a small house that rested amidst the chaos in Gaza, there was a child hiding with his family. While war was rising outside of their house's withered walls, his family provided a shield of warm, endless love. The child believed these walls would protect him forever. After all, home is a place of security and comfort. He believed that no one would dare to hurt him when he was surrounded by people who promised to protect him with all their might. So he remained, for a short time, blissfully unaware of the harsh reality of his family's powerlessness against the enemy's limitless powers. Then came the night that shattered that sacred home. The walls that once witnessed the happiest moments of a simple family have now witnessed their murder. The walls that this child believed to be invincible to an outsider couldn't protect him from the evil's fire. He found himself alone with a kitten that faced the same tragedy. Both are too young and innocent to comprehend the loss they had. For them, their families aren't gone, but they will soon return to continue living the happy life they once had. Alone in the hospital's corridors, where people are crying and weeping for the ones that left, and the air is heavy with the scent of death. There they wander silently, clinging to each other. They're new refugees, stripped of familiarity and warmth, yet they don't show weaknesses nor sorrow. The kid is waving his small, dusty hands to the camera. Maybe a habit to obtain from past times of videos his family took of him. Say hi to Grandma and Grandpa. But this time, he was waving to strangers who can't do anything but look at him in pity and pray for another life, where he would meet his family again and joy be present wherever he is.
Okay, so thank you, Warda. And now we have the last story, Al-Ahmed family. And Yasser is going to tell the story. And so the title of the story, No More Dream House, but Rebel in Gaza. Would you come to the podium, Yasser, if you want to?
Have a good day, everyone. I just want to say that today's gathering is not like just a little, let's say, help or like support for all people like in Gaza and Palestine in general. This paper kind of like explain the whole things that is happening like in Gaza or in Palestine in general, because it's just a little story that I want to show you, which is like a tragedy story about what happening to those people in there. So I just want to show you guys today like a little like story about what happened to family which they worked like together from a long time to build like each like point of their house step by step. But suddenly their house just vanished and faded forever. So no more dream house, but rubble in Gaza. Once upon a time, in a small village in Palestine, The Ahmed family worked tirelessly to build their dream home. With each brick laid and every room crafted, they invested their hopes and aspirations into the foundation of a better life. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over their newly completed dwelling, the Ahmed family gathered in the living room, cherishing the unity that the walls of their home symbolized. Laurel Amina, their youngest, giggled as she explored her new space, envisioning a future filled with laughter and love. One crucial night, the tranquility was shattered. The distant echoes of conflict grew nearer until the unbelievable tragedy happened to their home. A heaven they had so diligently constructed succumbed to the destruction of war. The vibrant walls crumbled under the weight of unforgiving reality. Amidst the chaos, the Ahmed family longed to be one another, seeking refuge in the remnants of their shattered dreams. A grief-stricken Ibrahim gently covered his children with a tattered blanket, attempting to shield them from the both physical and emotional wreckage surrounding them. In the face of tragedy, the Ahmed's family story serves an emotional reminder of resilience and enduring spirit that persists in the midst of adversity. Their shattered home echoes the broader narrative of families affected by conflict, striving for a life free from the haunting specter of war. Thank you.
قارب نشاطنا التضامني مع أهلنا في غزة على النهاية. لا ينظر المسلمون إلى الموت على أنه نهاية الحياة، ولكن ينظرون إليه على أنه بداية الحياة. فهذه الحياة بالنسبة للمسلمين هي طريق سفر إلى الحياة الأخرى، الحياة الآخرة. لذلك لا نرى الموت ذلة ولا نراه مسبة، فنحن المسلمون نؤمن أن هناك حياة دائمة، حياة أخرى، حياة عادلة نجد فيها العدل عند الله سبحانه وتعالى. لكن ما يثير في نفوسنا أن يتعرض المسلمون ويتعرض الناس بشكل عام لهذا القتل والتهجير والظلم ولا يحرك أحد. الموت رحلة، وهذه الرحلة كلنا سنراها. أهلنا في غزة اختاروا أن يموتوا وهم في ساحات الوغى شهداء بإذن الله سبحانه وتعالى. نسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى لهم الصبر والصمود والنصر بإذن الله تعالى. والآن نختم النشاط بكلمة منظم هذا الحفل الدكتور عبد الحلاوتي. تفضل مشكور.
Thank you, Dr. Abdullah, for your effective and crisp wording, actually. You know, guys, death is a very big word. We should do care about this word in our life. It's not only just a few words to check in the dictionary or mention here and there, but we should care actually about this word in our life, in our activities, in our life, and preparing ourselves for the next life. This is the end of our program actually, and I would like, or not, I don't like actually, but I do feel proud of my students. We feel privileged to have such successful future writers as students. Also, I believe that you're going to have a future nice broadcaster just like Amina and Ayman. Thank you very much for your efforts, and thanks to Ms. Huda and Dr. Abdullah for sharing me this event. Thanks to the Dean of the College of Arts, and thank you, Dr. Harith, for joining us from the beginning of this event till the end. Thanks for the Dr. Wafa for again joining us, though somehow late, but you are here with us, sharing us this event. Thanks to all of you, and I believe that I'm going to plan for future events just like the one that we had today. Thank you again so much.
Leve Palestina och krossa sionismen.
Leve Palestina och krossa sionismen. Leve